directly we'll jump on to the UAE invoicing. Just let us know if anybody has any awareness of UAE invoicing, or have you heard about this, or just let us know your thoughts on this. Fine. Uh, anyway, we'll it's more of awareness session. So whenever you require, whenever you have any doubts on relating to invoicing, how can we process, just interrupt me, and there you can question to me, or even by end of the session, we will take care. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Nithin.
Perfect. So first, in general, the invoice is a contract between the purchaser and the seller. So purchaser usually has the right to receive the goods and obligation to pay the whatever the consideration of the invoice amount. Same way, the seller has the obligation to deliver the goods and he has the right to receive the amount. But now they use the new word called e-invoicing, which means the same invoice, whatever the conditions of the purchaser and seller, whatever the rights and responsibilities still stands. But apart from that, to make the invoice, we have to use one electronic invoicing platform or electronic invoicing system we required to use. And there only we have to issue, transmit, and receiving the invoices. So whatever the invoice you issued, you transmitted, and you received through electronic invoicing system, those are only called as a e-invoices. So people already were asking, we are already using soft copies, we are already using emails, we are already using QR codes. Those are all not e-invoices. Those are digital invoices or soft copies. But here, e-invoice means the invoice issuance, transmission, and the delivery all has to be happened through the system. So that is called electronic e-invoicing system. To transmit and deliver the electronic e-invoicing or e-invoicing, we use one international network called as a PayPal, that is Pan-European Public Procurement Online. So which is a global network where we all the whoever the businesses, they PayPal maintains their data directory or their details, and they will provide the network access to deliver or to transmit the invoice from one business to another business or from one person to another person. So some countries already are adopted the e-invoicing like Saudi, Egypt, India, so and so forth countries, but they are not PayPal connected. They are only internally for the country's domestic purpose. They are issuing the invoices using local government networks. But here, UAE is very advanced comparatively other countries. So they use global network. By that advantage is they can transfer or they can transmit the invoice from to any country, whoever the PayPal members, like Malaysia, Singapore, and all the European countries are all the members of the PayPal. So we can even inside of the UAE, even outside UAE also, we can easily share our invoice through using PayPal network. So the UAE customization of invoice, UAE specifications are called as a PINT AE, that is nothing but PayPal Arab Emirates. So they have whatever the global standards they customize to as per the UAE VAT law. So that is called PINT AE. So UAE government is already ahead in relating to invoicing decisions. So they already issued the law. They already issued the time frames. Even they already notified the accredited service providers. And if you have seen any time the FTA portals, federal tax portals, federal tax authority, the portals are also already ready. So if you take the ministerial decision 244 of 2025, they were issued on 2025 September. They gave tentative deadlines for approaching or for adopting e-invoicing system. So here in UAE, we have one new concept called accredited service provider, also called as a ASP. So to To process this e-invoicing, we are mandatory to appoint accredited service providers. So those are the providers who got the license from Ministry of Finance to do or to facilitate or to provide the e-invoicing services to the businesses of UAE. So any business in UAE companies having a turnover of above 50 million, they have to appoint accredited service provider by before 31st October 2026. Once they appointed, from 1st January 2027, all the invoices, whatever they are processing, all the businesses in UAE who are having above 50 million, they have to process their invoice through electronic invoicing system with the help of accredited service provider network. All companies, whoever it having below 50 million, including freelance holders, including non-VAT registered holders, are also mandatory to appoint accredited service provider by before 31st March 2027, and with the 6 months gap, they are also required to go live from 1st July 2027. So even government are also required to appoint the ASPs, and they are also required to go from 1st October 2027. So by beginning of the 1st October 2027, the entire UAE country has to be in the system. So whoever doing the business in UAE, by beginning of 1st October 2027, they have to issue invoices through only electronic e-invoicing system. So these are the tentative deadlines. Almost the 30% of the UAE market is fall under the first phase. Around 65% of the markets in UAE or businesses fall under the second phase, and 5% all the government entities fall under the third phase. So going forward, how this e-invoicing works. So first, whoever it may be, either you are a bank or you are a general business or you are a supplier, whoever it may be, to issue the invoice, first you have to issue your invoice to your ASP. So all the banks or all the businesses, whoever it may be in the UAE, they are mandatory to appoint ASPs or accredited service provider who have the license from the Federal Ministry of Finance. You have to appoint them. So once you appointed them, same way your customer also, whoever it may be based on the timelines. So they are also required to appoint one more ASP. So those are called customer ASPs. So as a bank, regularly on every month of the first, we will issue the invoices. As a businesses, whenever you made the sale, you will issue the invoice. As a service sector, whenever you provide the service, you will issue the invoice. So in your ERP, whatever it your ERP, whether it's a SAP, Oracle, Odoo, Tally, or whatever, once you raise the any invoice, once you have to raise the invoice in your ERP, you have to issue your invoice to your ASP. So here ASP will validate your invoice, whether your invoice is as per the UAE invoice structure or not, as per the UAE invoice rules followed or not, that they will verify. So once if it is your invoice is as per the rules or as per the criteria, they will accept it. Otherwise, they will reject and they will send you back with the reason why they have rejected it. What are the errors in that invoice? With the error mechanism, they will share back to the bank or to any business. And then again, they have to recorrect it and they have to share back to again the to your ASPs. Then they will again validate. If it is approved or if it is validated, they will go to in between PayPal network. So in the PayPal network, in your invoice, you are already mention your customer details. With your customer identification number, with your customer PayPal number, they will identify the customer ASP and they will deliver that to customer ASP location. Once the customer ASP is received the invoice, the same invoice will go to or will notify to the customer. Same like bank only, there is no difference. For example, if you take the bank, I am transferring one bank to my money to another bank. So first my bank will verify my details. Like if you log in internet banking, it will verify whether I am the correct person or not, whether I have enough balance or not, I have the correct beneficiary or not, or correct receiver or not. then my bank will approve my transactions. Otherwise, if I don't have balance or if I entered wrong details, my bank only will reject the transaction. So here the same case for invoice. Once the bank identified banks approve it, then they will go to the central bank or any the bank registry, and they will find the based on IBAN number or based on IFSC code, MASC or number, they will deliver that invoice money to the customer's bank or receiver's bank, and the receiver bank will credit to the receiver. So the same concept here also, it's a mere, but in the bank transaction, we will send the money. Here we will send the invoice. That's it. So ASPs are the banks, like a banks for the invoices. Banks for the money, they used to act from the thing. And this complete story, whatever the transaction, once the ASP delivered to your customer ASP, then he will also same time inform to the Federal Tax Authority about the bank's sale. So what sale we made over, he will inform. Same way your customer ASP also, once he deliver the invoice, he will also inform to the Federal Tax Authority about your customer purchases. So he will endorse his purchases, by that he will deliver over here. So this way the invoice process happens from the in the future. So, and here, if you are acts like as a seller, like bank, you are acts like as a service provider, or sometimes banks also acts like as a service receiver. So whoever it may be, based on your job, you have to appoint your ASP, and here you have to appoint only one ASP. You are not allowed to appoint two ASPs. Whoever the UAE businesses, they have to appoint only one ASP. So this way the 5C corner model system works. In India, in Saudi Arabia, we have e-invoicing system, but the only system is from the bank to bank ASP, ASP to the FTA or OTA or to the whatever. But here we have to follow this 5C model, and all the people are required to integrate to this system. So all the B2B transactions are required to process through this system. B2B transactions, we don't require to follow this e-invoicing system. So they are exception for the time being. Maybe in the future, government may include, but for the time being, B2C, so all individuals or whoever are having non-VAT registered, they are individual or they are out of the scope. So they don't need to issue any e-invoices. But whoever are the businesses, they are mandatory to adopt this system. For even to share your invoice or to receive the invoice also, you have to be in the e-invoicing system. So this is more detailed of that. One of the beauty in this 5C invoicing system is whoever, whether you are a supplier or buyer or a bank, you will no way connected to the Ministry of Finance or Federal Tax Authority. The entire job on behalf of you, the ASPs will do. So that is one more advantage over here in this 5C model. If you go any other countries, there directly we have to interact to the government, we have to get the government access, government connection. So there are so many issues over there. But here the complete responsibility of your service will take care by accredited service providers. And these accredited service providers are the persons or the mostly tech companies, they used to get the license from Ministry of Finance. So Ministry of Finance will verify the credibility and the capability of accredited service providers, and thereafter only they listed their names in the electronic invoicing website, and they are whoever listed in the website, we are allowed to appoint them only. We are not allowed to appoint other than listed entities over there. So what, as an invoice point of view, what will, so here before going to the invoice, we are how we will connect our system to bank ASP system or ASP system. Same way how we will receive the data. This is a big question over here. So for that we have three options. Through technology, if you are digitally matured using API, application programming interface, on a real-time basis, you can connect to your ASPs. So, but for that, you should be digitally matured. Your ERP should be cloud-based or internet-based. Then only you are allowed to connect. Otherwise, it's a very, very difficult to do on a real-time basis. And the second one is file transfer protocol system. So whatever the invoices you raised over in your ERP, every evening or every 1 hour, you have to send as a file to your ASP, and he will receive and he will validate. So that is the second mode of connecting to your ASP. And the third mode is your ASPs, whoever it may be, they will give one interface same like internet banking. So then and there only you have to log in and you have to initiate the transactions, or you have to initiate the invoices. So in banking language, the if you are adopting the third phase, it's the internet banking. But if you works through Apple Pay or Phone Pay in your device only, you can do it. No need to open any your bank account or any bank app or anything. So directly from here only you can process. The same way to receiving also, the money will, whatever the invoice will come. If you want on a real time basis, then you have to integrate you through API. Then automatically it will notify or it will record in your systems. Or by using here only, you have to download the data and thereafter you have to record in your ERP. So either of the mode you can go based on your organization size, based on volume of invoices, based on your digital maturity, we require to integrate. So going forward, the main difference between e-invoicing and our traditional either PDF, Word, Excel, or manual invoices, those invoices are not machine readable, but these e-invoices are machine readable. So this PDF copy, it's difficult to read by the machine. As a human, we are very good at reading, but machine can't read these things. So, but if you provide as a structured e-invoicing format, machine will read and machine will transfer. So on an outer level or an output level, it can be the PDF, but on an inner level, on a configuration level, on a system level, it has to be a structured data or in a structured format. So that is the main difference over here. Previously, PDFs and whatever, those are all not, no more e-invoices. So e-invoice means the structured data. As for new UAE invoicing structure, this will be the new e-invoicing. So far invoice means the just a simple PDF is our invoice, but in the future, our invoice should contain minimum of 50 data points. So our invoice size will increase, invoice volume will increase, invoice data will also will increase in the future. So our invoice is break down into 6 categories. So the first, what kind of invoice you are issuing? We have total 16 types of invoices like export invoice, taxable invoice, exempt invoice, commercial invoice. So what kind of invoice you are issuing? That point we require to maintain. Second, who is issuing the invoice? And buyer who is receiving our invoice, so that complete details we require to maintain. And how much is the numerical amounts in the invoice we have to project, and how much tax is there or projected in that invoice, reported in that invoice, that information. And each invoice line based on what product you are selling, how much you are selling, how much money worth it is, that complete information we require to share. So this 50 minimum we require to maintain in our invoice. But if you are following less than this 30, so presently in UAE VAT maximum of 35 is allowed. So the remaining 15 you have to adapt. So now what will be the bigger change in UAE businesses means? The first change is whoever it may be, how best today, even if you take any bank invoice, they don't have this 50 data points. They have around 20-25 contents. So in the future, they need to make it update to up to 50. So that is the first step or first thing in the e-invoicing as an organization or a business is required to do. Second thing is, yes, we have 20, but that 20 is in a structured format or not. If not, we have to modify that. So that is the second job we require to do. So first, whoever it may be, you have to adapt, you have to update your ERP system. Once you updated your ERP system here, then you have to integrate your system to your ASP system. Once you integrated, then after, once you go live, you have to process your invoices. So these are the 3 steps as an organization, as a businesses they required to do. So first, even banks also, now all the banks are already starting working on this invoicing project, and they are now developing their existing banking systems. Once they develop, then after maybe after July, they will connect or they will integrate to the banks ASPs. So once whoever appointed ASP, you have to integrate with them. Then from 1st January 2027 onwards, you have to process your invoices through this system. So these are the three phases of these three steps involved in e-invoicing adoption or e-invoicing building. So if you are not following this e-invoicing system, if you are not appointing accredited service provider on a specified due date, then you required to pay 5,000 as a penalty. Or and after once you go live from 1st January 2027, if you not adopted this system, then each invoice for failuring of each not processing invoicing through this system, for each invoice we have to pay 100 as a penalty. So maximum of 5,000 we require to pay the penalties. So these are the monetary, but we have more non-monetary also. Usually in every invoice, if you have taken bank or any other invoice, it contains VAT amount and your customer is eligible to take the VAT credit. So that amount is he can allow to reduce from his output tax or his output VAT. But if he didn't receive the e-invoicing, he receive any manual invoice, then he is inallowed to take that credit. So compulsory to take that credit, he should have the proper e-invoicing system or e-invoice from his supplier. So now onwards, your customer also will demand, please give us the e-invoicing, otherwise we will not make the payment. So that is your customer requirement. Otherwise, he will not do the business with you itself, and that invoice is the proof for all the banking transactions. Especially if you take the LCs, the invoice is very, very important. Or if you process any loans or any work orders or any delivery of your work orders, whatever it may be, wherever the word invoice, now you have to replace with your e-invoicing. So that is very, very important on the banking level also. Once you generated this e-invoicing, then only that e-invoicing is a evidence for made the transactions. If you are not produced the e-invoicing, the whatever your manual invoice, which is invalid in court of law, even if your customer didn't pay, or if you want to execute any bank guarantee or any LCs or your customers, you require that paper. Without that paper, we are unable to, or we, even the courts, whatever the legal, they will not accept our petitions itself. So that is one more very, very important rule on the banking level. So whatever, whoever it may be the business, so you should have the proper legal document. Here the legal document is your e-invoicing paper. So how it impacts the business? So first you have to understand the contracts with the customers. So like in a bank also required to revise all their LC policies. So wherever they said customer has to deliver the invoice, so that word they have to replace with the e-invoices. So customer has to submit e-invoices. So that amendment in bank laws we required to change. In even if you're issuing the LC or if you're giving the loans or if you're collecting any loans, any invoice proof, you have to replace with the e-invoicing. So that is the first step on the internal level. All banks, whenever you are issuing any contracts with your customers, either it may be LC, bank guarantee, so and so forth, we have to edit to the e-invoicing. So that is the one first step we require to do. And for the tax purpose, yes, customer really paid the tax on that or not, the only proof is e-invoicing document. He said I paid to my supplier, but that is not the enough unless he has the e-invoicing. So that is very, very important. You should have the e-invoice for that. And very, even if you want in the future, you want to execute any legal actions against your customer, the e-invoice is only evidential proof for that. And here one more rule is there: whoever your customer, whenever he performed the business transaction, within 14 days, he has to issue e-invoicing. He is not allowed to delay any issuance of any invoices. So within 14 days from the date of his business or from the date of his business transaction, he has mandatory to issue e-invoices. And so far, if you're following any offline system or not real-time basis system, that won't work. Future, this entire e-invoicing system will happen on a real-time basis or even in milliseconds it will happen. So compulsory, your ERPs has to be enabled, ERPs has to be updated, and ERPs has to be internet based. and we have to connect through the ASPs, and ASPs through the PayPal connectivity, through the PayPal network, they will deliver invoices to your customers. So here one good news is you don't need to deliver your invoices to your customers. Even you don't require to email them. Automatically that invoice will come in their mail folder or in their ERP itself. And this requires a lot of change in an organization. We require to change in IT. All our systems has to be updated. People also need to adapt the ERP, need to adopt this automation or IT. That is also one of very essential. And the everybody has to know what should be in the invoicing. How can when the invoice will be successful? As I said, if invoice has the minimum of 50 data points in a correct order, correct structure, then only your ASP will accept. Even otherwise, some paper, the whatever the paper they are bringing, those papers are invalid on any course of action. So that's the reason must be, it has to be updated, and we should have that knowledge what should be the content in the invoices. And next, the most important, who will store the invoice, where we will store the invoice. So far we have the physical invoices, we have racks, we have rooms, so and so forth. But now it's not like that. Invoice itself is electronic invoice, so it must be stored in the system. So whatever you stored in the system, that is only evidential, that is only perfect. Whatever, if it is offline version, that is only the physical PDFs or printed copies, it's for your internal purpose. So the storage of the invoice is very, very important. So if you don't have that system, now you have to buy the odd disk and so forth. And infrastructure. So this is very essential. If your system fails or your ERP is not working, you are unable to issue the e-invoicing. Same like banks. If you take traditional banking, maybe 20 years bank, they used to do the manual, but now everything in the system. If system works, if system don't work, we cannot issue the invoice. Even we cannot take the deposit also, or we cannot issue the whatever cash withdrawal also. The same way for e-invoicing also in the future. So no company is allowed to issue any manual invoice. Same way, no company is allowed to receive the manual invoice also. So compulsory, if any time system fails, that day it's a holiday for any of the business. Same like bank, if server is down, we can't work. So the same way for e-invoicing for every business also. And the most important, the cyber security. Now every data is, sorry, go ahead. So every data now will store in the, say, cyber security platforms or whatever the data centers or in our hard disk or in our internal servers. So the safety of data, as like lockers, we have to even save for the systems also. Otherwise, if it is exposed, the data will be leaked, and everybody, your competitors and all others knows the price. Not only that, nowadays, now in the future, we will share the invoices through bank through emails only, not like any physical file or anything or locker files. So that transmission security is also very, very important. And mostly if you're using any of your portals, also through that portal only, it has to be transmitted. And if not, there is so many chances of leakages. So these are all the general industry impacts by e-invoicing system. But apart from that, it impacts your control. Previously, we have physical controls, but in the future, we should have the system controls. Whatever the business, previously we compliance mostly on the manual basis, but now it's a complete automation. And this e-invoicing exercise is a real-time exercise. So compulsory, your process has to be automated. And the data is very, very important. If you miss one item in the 50 points also, your invoice will not be accepted. If invoice is not accepted, means you are unable to perform the sale. If you are not performing the sales, means your sales is stopped, your business is stopped. By that, your revenue will also stop. So that is very, very important. And the next most important is the people, especially the IT people are very, very important. If the system work, they have to make them work. Otherwise, we cannot do the business itself. So that is the one. And we require the digital infrastructure for all of the businesses. So this is on a general industry. By the invoicing, we have this impact. But how the banks? So first, on an internal level, the banks also has to understand whether their current ERPs are capable to issue this kind of invoices. So the answer is exactly no. No bank is capable. So now they are almost all the banks has already started the updating to e-invoicing system. So presently in bank invoice, we have very few items, not 50. Even you don't have your customer details, customer PayPal ID, customer VAT registration numbers, so and so forth. That everything be required to update in the future. And that master data also required to update in your banking. So in the future, the KYC norms will change. In the KYC, apart from the basic details, you required to deliver the invoicing, you have to add that items also. That is one. And as whoever on the relation or on the front face of the bank, so they have to get that things from the client. So they have to push the client or they have to request the client to get that kind of information. Otherwise, we our bank will not issue the invoices. So by that we may lose our business also. And which increases the financial transparency and financial visibility. So in the future, once this e-invoicing is successful, there is a no concept of fake document or there is a no fake invoices. So by that, even banks can develop their trust or the customers can develop the trust with the banks, and it's a complete transparency. Why? Because that whatever the invoicing is processed through that 5C model, the same invoice will share to the bank. So bank anytime if they want, they can verify over there. And that data, whatever they process through that system, is helps him to assess your client capabilities. If client is providing some manual invoice or a non-e-invoicing, means we can have so many doubts. So that will leave the credit impact of the your customer, credit worthiness of your customers, so and so forth. So as a bank from the future, in the future, the e-invoicing is the only evidential proof of the client's transactions. But coming to the clients also, which reduces the compliance risk. So if they issue e-invoicing, that is a final, there is no further verifications, nothing is required. And automated invoices. So this invoices mandatory, we have to use the system. So with that system, we can easily deliver. The automation is possible. Once you record your data, with that data, you can report as you required, or as you whatever the report you want in whatever the mode you want to deliver. So all that is possible, and which is improves your operational efficiencies. And we can develop the infrastructure also has to be ready. So now the next question is, who will do this transmission in the UAE or in the country or in the business? The first most important is always we know who will issue the sales invoice means salespeople. So they are the persons first have to know how can we issue the invoices. So to issue the invoices, they have to get the data from their customers, whether the customer readiness is there or not. So they have to update their invoicing modules or their delivery invoice delivery modules. So that is the first step. Same way, procurement people, so they will accept the invoice or the invoice will deliver to the procurement people. So they also required to know what kind of invoice has to record, how they have to record. So that what why, because here invoice will come, but shall we register in our ERP or shall we record in ERP or not? That they have to get know the awareness. And the most important in this entire invoicing journey is the IT. So whatever our tasks, whatever our preparation, ultimately the invoice has to be generated through our system. And our system will integrate to your ASP system. So that's the reason without IT, we can't perform the business. Same like banks, without your banking software or without your system, we can't do the sales itself. Or even we can't accept the deposits also. So the same way here also in the future, it's a completely IT based, and the finance people has to know the how the invoices has processed, how to record AP, AR processes completely, and invoice has a tax. So once you shown something, some tax in the invoice means that the tax we are bound to pay. Why? Because that is the data and that is the more proof that yes, we executed the transaction and we have to pay. And some ERP consultants and ASP integrators or ASP services also, ASP providers also will help you to transfer, to transmit, or to develop yourself for e-invoicing. And the major is the management or the organization. See, so far they have not coordinated all the departments, but in the future they have to coordinate all the departments. So that is the one big step as a management. Previously, as a finance guy, I don't need to talk with my IT guy, but now it's not like that. So all are has to be integrated. All has to talk regularly. Why? Because I can't do any job myself without IT support. So that's the one where we have to, all the departments has to coordinate. So management has to set up that kind of infrastructure or that kind of facility, that kind of harmony in our organization. And to develop this invoicing initially requires a lot of resources, maybe on monetary terms, maybe to develop the servers or anything, or training, so on and so forth. So management has to coordinate all of them, and management has to keep some separate budget, and they have to make some accountability or some persons to be accountability in the organization. So whoever working in any organization, whatever it may be bank or any business, so take that opportunity of e-invoicing accountability. So by that, you will get the idea how organization is updated, and that helps on a personal level also. It helps to improve your professional skills, personal skills. And in the future, this system is compulsory. So wherever the organization, wherever the country, wherever, so we have to be ready to this system. Then we can, on professional, on personal level, we can grow ourselves. So that is one more opportunity over here. So you're already in that process. So for that reason, you are attended this seminar. So take this as an opportunity. This is a one-time opportunity. So all the organizations in the UAE, it may be bank or it may be a trading company or it may be service company, all are now required to adopt this system. So there is no other option. We cannot skip it. So it's a compulsory for us. So take the initiative. Why can't you wait? Why can't you adopt the change? Make the change. So that is very, very important. So whoever it may be, so whatever the employee will fall one of this criteria, and he has to take the initiative. So how we can build the e-invoicing system means, the first one is the system portfolio. So as we said, we have to connect through only one API, one ASP. So if you are using multiple ASPs, it is very difficult. So all you have to merge yourself and you have to integrate. Whether your current system is capable or not, that you have to understand. And in many organizations, we use third-party systems like suppliers portals, customer portals. So that whether that portal is capable to integrate or not. Otherwise, you have to pull the data from that systems, and from there, from your main system, you have to push to ASP system. So that is like a collection. You have to collect and you have to deliver. And one good news with this e-invoicing is you no need to email any invoices, or you no need to even send the couriers or for copies of prints. Those are all, nothing is required. So the data, we have around 16 types of invoices. So based on the organization, what type of invoice is applicable to us, we have to understand. And in each case, we have around 50 contents. So how many is there, we have to understand. And all the people are very, very important. All are the stakeholders in e-invoicing building. And there are so many policies. If you're a very big company or if you're a bank, so the accounts receivable process, accounts payable process, your collection process, your invoice issuance process, invoice receiving process, everything has to be aligned with your e-invoicing system. So that alignment is very, very important. Not only you, your customer systems also required to adapt. And whether our current system is capable of this or not, scalable or not also, we have to understand. And the first we have to understand from when it is applicable, to whom it is applicable, for what kind of transactions it is applicable, how it is applicable to our organization. So where we are today, that we have to understand. Thereafter, what needs to be changed. So that we have to understand on a personal level. Whatever your role, it not necessarily be you can be the CEO or you can be the IT guy. You are working in sales, so you have to know what kind of needs to change in my sales module, or in issuing the sale invoice, what kind of needs to change. If you are in a procurement person, you have to know what kind to accept. So what data I have to accept, when to accept, whoever it may be the jobs. So you have to understand how invoicing is impacting you and how much is impacting you, and how you will build that gap. So you will give this opportunity to completely to outsider, or to any outsourcing agency, or to your IT guys or somebody, or you will build yourself, or you have any hybrid model. So that you have to understand yourself on all level, on a personal level, on your system level, you have to understand. Then you have to design the system, you have to design your strategy, you have to develop yourself. Then once you developed yourself, then you have to integrate your ASP to your ASPs. Then you have to be go live. And this go live also, we have tentative deadlines before 1st October only. 1st January, you have to go live. Thereafter, you're required to process all e-invoices. So don't think like it is an IT project or it's in a finance. That's not the true. It's for everybody. It's for entire country. So whoever it may be, how small or how big, you will be impacted by this e-invoicing system. So in the future also, if you go any supermarket, they will not give any bill. So you have to ready for that. Or if you want to claim any expenses in your office, they will not give any bills. So you have to go through this digital. You have to make them the e-invoice is ensured delivered, then only your manager or your finance department will reimburse that money to your personal account. So whoever it may be, they have to come through the system. So what changes in your business? So first, if any invoice is rejected, you will not issue the invoice. So by that, your delayed invoice delays your cash. Same like if you're not taking the deposit or anything, you cannot get the money. So it's the same way here. Any customer to pay the money, we have to issue the bill or we have to issue the invoicing, then only they will pay. If you're not issuing due to ABC reason, your system failures or anything, then your business, you will lose the business. Same like bank. If bank server will not work 10 days, then that month profits will come down. So the same concept over here also. And in order to cash, so in our sales process, what will change? As a bank or as in any company, when you are creating your customer ledger, when you are opening your bank account itself, you have to know what kind of data we have to get from them, like passports, Emirates ID, whatever you are getting. Apart from that, in the future, you have to get this PayPal ID and whatever the buyers use electronic identification number, so on and so forth. You required to know when opening the bank account itself, you have to know. And the proof of delivery is the only invoicing is your delivery. So especially if you are multiple, you are having huge volume of LCs and so forth. So that invoicing should be automatically has to come to your system to verify. So that is one allowed to spend. Otherwise, you have to give back. So for that, same way here also invoicing, whatever invoice come, you should not accept. So you have to park that invoice. If you feel, yes, this is our invoice, then only you have to take. Otherwise, you have to put hold there only. So that otherwise you will liable to the payment of that invoice. So that accept that we have to understand very, very careful. So for that reason, we have to create our vendors masters data. So this is very, very important in the banks, whoever working in procurement department or in purchasing department. So you have to know what kind of invoice we have to receive and when we have to make the GRNs. See, previously invoice used to come along with your goods, but now it's not like that. Once your supplier entered the invoice, it will come to you. So shall we take that invoice or not, or you will wait for the goods? So where you will wait in a system level, that alignment is required to do. And once you received the invoice and once you received the goods, then only you have to release the payment. By merely receiving the paper, if somebody of your supplier shares the paper to your accounts department, they are processing, that is not at all advisable. So that alignment also we have to be very careful. And the data mapping is also very important. Every time we can't verify the 100% of the invoices, and the invoices now we will receive through the system. So compulsory your master data, your configurations, your process time will reduce. By that, your efficiency will increase. And there is no fake document or no wrong inceptions, nothing. So the credibility with this invoicing will increase. By that, you can enjoy so many facilities from the banks, financing, discounting, and you have the better visibility and control of your invoices flows, the receiving side and sales side. So these are all some of the changes over here. So who are the ASPs? Why ASP means it's a mandatory rule. So you don't have any option. Without ASP, we are impossible to issue this e-invoicing system. So it's a mandatory rule by the government, whoever it may be, you have to appoint one ASP. So ASPs are all our Ministry of Finance will approve them. So Ministry of Finance will do the testing, verification, every same like how one bank is getting the license, the same process for ASP also. And if bank fails, the customers will be compensated from the government. Same way, if any time your ASP fails or ASP leaks your data, you will be covered from insurance policies and the government will take care of you. So you don't need to worry anything about that. Whatever the rules is applicable to the banks, the same rules will applicable to the ASPs. Like like ASP has to be follow the data protection laws. They have to keep their servers in UAE land. So like that, all the rules, whatever the rules applicable to the bank, the same will applicable to the ASPs. So how trust the bank, how well we can trust the bank, the same way we can trust our ASPs also. So without ERP, whoever it may be, is it impossible to do the e-invoicing solution? So compulsory to follow this e-invoicing, the UAE mandatory e-invoicing, you have to adopt the ERP. And that ERP also has to be integrated on a real-time basis to your ASPs. So always your ERP is very, very critical pillar. And without ERP, it is impossible to do the e-invoicing system. So developing the ERP is very, very essential. So you have to choose based on your business, you have to choose the best ERP, what suits to you. We have so many ERP providers. So what suits to you, that you have to select. And with the ERP, if you integrate this all e-invoicing system in your ERP, your life is so easy. So maximum of your e-invoicing job and other business operational jobs will take care by your ERPs. So the general accounting softwares, it's very difficult. They are subject to only accounting. But ERPs is a very essential. Why? Because without ERP, you cannot make the AP process, accounts receivable process, accounts payable process, automations. These are very, very difficult. And the integration to other modules also, like HRMS, so and so forth. So that's the reason it's always the only option is with the ERP. So what best suits to you, which ERP best to you, take that ERP and scalable your business. So without ERP, you cannot process this invoice. It's a pure of manual exercise. So manually, even if you verify that 50 data points, even if you verify that coding also, it is impossible to identify the tracks, or if it is impossible to push to your ASP. Your ASP, if you push only through online, he will accept it. No PDF we are allowed to send to them. So that's why ERP is very, very essential. As like without ERP, there is no invoicing. If there is no invoicing, there is no business. So selecting the ERP vendor, selecting the ERP system is very, very essential steps. If you're already having the ERP, if it is capable or if it is internet based or connectable basis, it's fine. Otherwise, you have to take the good ERP or you have to update your systems or update your ERP to the latest versions. Whatever the ERP, the latest versions are only compatible for e-invoicing, especially that ERP should have the what you call internet based. So as we know, it's a too much to change or too much to build, but there is another opportunity also in this entire e-invoicing journey. The first one is the ERP. So for organizations, especially in UAE, many organizations are reluctant. Even some the banks also only for one operation they are adopting the software, not for anything. But this e-invoicing will make you push to you to implement the ERPs. So by that, you are almost all of your business operations will be automated. So that is one good story over here. And hopefully, if this invoicing is successful by end of 2029 or 2030, UAE will become the digital economy. So there is no need of paper in anywhere in the invoicing in UAE. So presently, as we know, as an accounts department consumes most lot of the papers after the schools, but in the future, there will be no paper. So all the papers will be eliminated. If the things goes well, then by end of 2030, UAE will become the paperless country. And which saves the so much of operational cost, like there is no transport of delivery, courier, or nothing is required. Everything will be through the system. On automation basis, it works. So no need to spend any money on any processing or any delivery or any courier charges. And by reducing this paper and by automation, the country will become more efficient, the business will become more efficient. And one good news with this 5C model is wherever in the world you can issue the invoicing through this 5C system. If that country is adopted the 5C system, we can deliver the invoice there only. So this is very important, especially in foreign imports and exports. If your other countries also integrated or connected through the PayPal network. Once they raise the invoice or we raise the invoice, that invoice will come to through the system. So banks or anything, they can easily verify that. So that is one good news on the bank's point of view. So the main value addition to the banks, it's enhanced the credit assessment. So in the future, all the fake invoices will be eliminated. So which even banks also get to know, once a bank submits any invoice to another bank, then they will release the payments. So in all LCs and so on and so forth. So that creditability assessment will impact and the reduce the risk of fraud. So because of false invoice or because of fake invoice, sometimes even though the bank team is good or bank team is honest, still they will liable. But in the future, that risk will completely eliminated and all the frauds whatever your customers is doing, that will be countered by through this e-invoicing system, and which helps you to faster collections and better liquidity. So all the records are available and new business opportunities. So presently there is no, even your clients is not that advanced. So that's why even if you want to provide any service also, we are incapable. But in the future, they will mandatory to adapt. So once they adapted on a real-time basis, you can do lot of your services like reverse factoring, discounting, supply chain finance, so on and so forth. We have that enable facility. So that is if customer is updated on a real-time basis, you can connect with them and real-time basis, you can promote a lot more in the future, and which is improve your operationals and improves your turnaround time also. These are all very important. Why? Because they will not take much time. You cannot ask the client to please share the invoice there after processing. Nothing is required. Now everything will be shared through system only. So the regulatory also, it's a one of the rule. So we have to comply. There is no other option. So that opportunity we have to take, and by that, if you adapt early or if you are capable, if you are change maker, you will be credited or you will be rewarded or you will be recognized. So that is very important on a personal level also. Even if some banks already have started, they are now in the top. So they are, by that we are already invoicing adapted. So by that the trustability of your customers also will increase and they will prefer to issue their invoices or their business through your channels. Why? Because you are already connected through the e-invoicing system. So that is a one more advantage. So if you have this idea, if you have this, we can make the good relationship with the customers. We can promote them. We can give the ideas. Okay, this is the kind of data you require to develop or you require to share with us. By that, their profitability will increase and your trustability also will increase and lower credit risk. So once any invoice is guaranteed or processed or transferred in front of the government, then there is a low chances of credit risk and the real-time visibility. So that is one thing, and ecosystem collaboration. So all the UAE will connect through this system. So this is one more good opportunity on e-invoicing level. So by this, we are concluding UAE invoicing awareness. So because of online session might be, I was a little speed. So we are happy to take your questions or any clarifications on both IT level, invoicing level, bank level, process level, client level, business level. Please let us know. We will happy to answer on that.
Thank you, Nithin. Quite very informative. Gave a lot of insights on e-invoicing, especially for banks like bankers for us, and how we could also understand how the companies, our customers, our corporates will benefit. There's a lot of questions being posted on our chat group. Yeah. So I believe
Yes, sir. I'm seeing now.
firstly, let's look at what Rafi has posted. He has posted 3 and 4.
Or ASP
So
is assigned to
yeah.
cater to different industry activity. Invoice may be treated differently. In this case, are ASP able to tailor to industry specific invoices? Fine, sir. So coming to your first question, yes, we have total 16 types of invoices. So we don't have any industry specific invoices. That 50 you should have minimum. So apart from that, some industries like medical industry, they want to produce additional. That additional you can produce with the invoicing, or you can record that same in invoicing. So additional is fine, but minimum we should have the 50. So apart from that, if you have any industry based or you are governed by any other laws, so that information also you have to keep in the invoice. There is nothing prohibited and it's encouraged to do that. So that is one. Coming to ASP security, sir. So you will connect your system through the API through ASP. So that network we will recommend to follow the TLS plus 2 1.2 security, that is transport layer security. Or if you want, you can use AS4 protocols also. So you can encrypt your invoice and you can share to us. We will decrypt and share. And once ASP is validated your e-invoices, thereafter the responsibility lies on the ASPs. So before that, you have to take care of the security. You can use AS4 or TLS 1.2 and anything. After that, if any leakages from the ASP side, you will be compensated from the Federal Tax Authority. And all the ASPs, whoever it may be, they will take the insurance policies, so which is one of the mandatory rule by the Federal Tax Authority. So you will be compensated from that insurance. That is one. In case of business or receiver respect to any delays interrupt due to continuous issues, it will impact the boundary for the business who will take it. So coming to the ASPs has to deliver your invoice on a real-time basis. So maximum as a ASP, we are allowed to, or whoever it may be the ASPs, they have to execute, they have to finish the transaction in 10 minutes. If they have not performed or not finished the transaction in maximum of 10 minutes, we will cancel the transaction. And immediately the Federal Tax Authority takes the action or start the audit against the ASPs. Where is the mistake was happened, why it was delayed. So we have one, as a customer you have one right, that if any time your ASP is failing or delaying your invoices more than 10 minutes, you have to report to the Federal Tax Authority. Otherwise you have to pay penalties also. But yeah, as I said, ASPs always will be monitored same like bank by the Federal Tax Authority. So if any lose or any leakages from them, you will be compensated. ASPs only will take the ownership of your data. But before reaching, you have to take care of that. Hope I am clarified, Rafi.
Yeah, he has posted the fourth question as well.
Yeah, I am checking. So for smaller company below 1 million turnover, how will they manage without a system in case they were fully manual? APIs are consumed from ASP or the business or consumers. So coming to APIs are exposed by ASPs to business. So business has to consume the ASP. Oh, sorry, consume the API. So the same in your customer point of view also you required to take care. So ASP will give only one API. So that API only you have to connect through your sales. And if you are in the purchasing side also, through that system only we have to do. So coming to your smaller company question, sir, the answer is very simple. Same like internet banking, we have our interface. So all the ASPs providing the interface. So then and there only you have to log in and you have to enter the invoice there. Same like internet banking transaction. You have to add the beneficiary and you have to send. Then the invoice will be processed. That is the one way. Or we have the whoever the ASPs, they will provide Excel uploading, bulk uploading. So you have to download all your sales data in your Excel and you have to upload that Excel on a one-time basis on every evening to the in the system. Then they will process. It's like a corporate group banking payments, how we will do. And first, how we will pay the salaries. So the same way we require to do over here also. If you are connected on with the API on a real-time basis, so any say all the real-time basis it works. If not, this is the best option. So if your invoice volume is below 100 or 200, better to so you can use that methods. The third one, some clients ERPs is hosted on international cloud servers outside the UAE. Does the invoicing mandate require clients to migrate their entire data? The answer is to the UAE data residency. The answer is no, sir. Client system can be anywhere, but only ASP system has to be in the UAE. That is the only condition. So from your international network, you can connect to our system through API. So once it reaches, it's your responsibility. After that, the ASPs will take care. So this rule data residency is only for the ASPs, not for the clients. But if client has any other rules, like banks have bank protections or that rules or some security companies, then you have to follow that. But coming to e-invoicing, you can be anywhere. Yes, sir.
Hi,
Smaller
Reddy.
yeah, please.
Sorry, go ahead. I think there's another question.
Yeah,
That's fine.
smaller companies, yes, sir, it's a cost factor. But we have one more feature also. If your invoices is less than 100, you don't need to pay anything. If it is more than 100 per year, then only you're required to pay. Mostly, presently, the prices of ASPs are little high, but in the future, the prices will come down.
Okay. Nithin, just one question.
Please, sir.
Thank you for, first of all, that it's very insightful and quite a change in the landscape of the banking. So, this wanted to understand now, EU invoice registered company is conducting business with the company is smaller, below 50 million, right? So, how does this
Mhm.
transaction work? Because they will not be registered with any ASP, the other counterparty. How does it work?
Okay. So for the time being, sir, first 6 months, we have to make one default customer details. Means to deliver the e-invoicing, we have to select the customer. One of the data requirement is customer PayPal ID. So if you are not registered for e-invoicing system, you will not get that PayPal ID. So you can't. We will process this entire e-invoicing system through the PayPal ID only. That is the main, like same bank account number or your IBAN number. So we require PayPal ID. 14 digits PayPal ID will be awarded to each of the businesses. So if you don't have, for the first 6 months, we will give one default PayPal ID, but it will not deliver to your customer. It will deliver only to the Federal Tax Authority. I will. Just give- So same like exports also, we do only this first 3 transactions. So if you are ASP, if you are a bank, your customer is no more to this system. Maybe is a small person. Then you have to issue the invoice. It will reach to your ASP. ASP validates and he will inform, yes, I validated. He will report only to the Federal Tax Authority. He will not report to your ASP, your customer ASP. So, but this first exercise they have to do. This is only for the time being, first 6 months. So, what do you call it? Only up to 1st July they are allowed to do. After 1st July, even your customer also will be considered. He will be in the system. So we have to deliver the invoice through the 6. If your customer is not in the system, we will consider him as a B2C sales. We will never consider him as a B2B. And whatever the invoice you are issuing, that invoice is ineligible to take the credit of VAT. And that invoice is not a invoicing itself. So customer, if he connected through this system, then only is called as a B2B. If somebody is not connected through this system, he is called as a B2C, like individual. So bank has one individual customer. Individual doesn't appoint any ASPs. So you don't have any this story or anything. So simply, first of all, B2C is excluded, but only we will process this one. So that way, this PayPal network will not work for 5C models. So only 6 months your question will be valid. After that, that question has no relevance. So all will be has to be in the system.
Sure, noted. Thanks.
Thanks, Nathan. You said B2C. Now, if we take a bank, now my individual
Mhm.
customers for any charges which I take from a bank, I issue an invoice. So that will consider as a B2C. So that will that's not mandatory, I believe, to be through an ASP to be reported to FTA, isn't it? It's not mandatory, but you could as a bank.
Not mandatory, sir. The
Yeah. Okay.
individual is not mandatory. So as like how you are going in the current system, the same you can continue.
Then comes our corporates who we manage, as an when we are charging them for documentation fees or something like that, fees and commissions. Then it is mandatory for us to it'll be treated as a B2B transaction, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Perfect. And the bank's one value is on first of the month they have to issue the invoice to millions. So the
Oh
bank
yeah.
system has to support that kind of infrastructure. They should have that infrastructure. Why? Because remaining businesses daily they do the invoices, but most of the cases banks will do only on the midnight of the first. So
Okay.
they should have that bulk uploading or that capable infrastructure.
How does now, if you look at a large corporate, now, okay, this is invoicing, we are charging. How does credit notes work? Does it also come on the same thing?
Yes, sir. So so usually in this e-invoicing system, we don't have the option of editing the invoicing. We don't have the option of alteration, deletion. So these are all not allowed in the invoicing system. Once any invoice is issued, once it is delivered to your customer, if there is any mistakes or you want to cancel that invoice, the only way is through the credit note. And credit note also you have to process through the same system. You don't have any other option, but only in the invoice heading, instead of invoice, we will change to credit note. The title only will change. The same data points, 50 data points they required to follow, and the same information they have to present for the credit note amount, and it has to be delivered through the same credit note. And that credit note only is allowed to adjust to your customers. So that is one very, very important question. Thank you, sir, for that. So credit note also through be the system only. There is no other alternative.
Nithin, a quick question on the taxation part of it. Once the invoices work on tax returns at the end of the month, VAT related activity, would that also be reconciled against the invoicing which takes place here? Or who will look for those discrepancies or differences?
That is a good question, sir. That is usually customer has to take care of him. Why? Because initially, first 6 months to 1 year, there is a fair differences. Why? Because somebody are not in this system. Maybe your suppliers is not in the system, so they will issue the manual invoices. Same way, you will issue the invoice, but your customer is not in the invoice, so manual invoice. There are two chances. Second, B2C sales also VAT is applicable.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is one more. So in first 1-2 years, we have to prepare the VAT reconciliation statements. So there is no other option. So client has to prepare. So he has to prepare. If it is a very big volume, better to prepare in the system itself. Otherwise, every accountant has to sit 2 to 3 days on every month end to do these reconciliations. That is very big hectic for first 1 year. So whoever in accounts department.
So each business will have to have an accountant or a finance.
Now both
In other
IT
words,
also.
or the system.
Yes.
Right.
So first 1-2 years, VAT is very confusing, and there are so many reconciliations. Even after this invoicing also, VAT has a different rules. Like in advance also, we required to pay the VAT, but on advance we don't need to issue your invoices. And here, invoice will issued only by your seller. By merely receiving the advance, he will not give any invoicing. So that is one more difference. But he has to pay the VAT.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Nithin, I'm trying to bring in this e-invoice of a customer into a business perspective for a company, for the bank. We work on invoice discounting. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, for companies. So now when a large corporate now, for example, 50 million and above, who wants to go on invoice discounting, so that particular invoice which is being issued to him from another company, where he will want to discount it, so that has to be actually communicated to the bank through which channel for us to discount.
Perfect. So they will not communicate through the bank, sir. So they will first hand over to the bank. So your supplier or your customer will come and he will collect all the invoices and he will hand over to you. So you have the capability of verification of that invoices. So each invoice has generated one UUID, unique identification number. So with that number, you can verify whether that particular invoice is genuine or not. So that we will not connect that, or you can give any exposure to your client, then client through email or through their system, it will be delivered to you.
Yeah, fine. So the through that particular, if there's a supply chain financing system, so they will
Yes.
push it through that to the bank, and the bank does the verification like what most of the banks they do with this deduplicate check like hyphen. They do that,
Yes.
and then they do the percentage. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So or otherwise in the bank you can update your system of verifiability of e-invoicing. So whatever invoicing receive is genuinely transferred through that system or not also. You can with that entering UUID number you will get to know.
Okay. When it comes to project payment certificates
Mhm.
on contractors, now they issue project payment certificates. So this will also be routed through e-invoicing, isn't it? Where completion of projects where they ask for payments. Uh,
No, sir. Usually it
uh,
will not. Only the invoice issuance will come. After that projection, invoice issuance criteria will come. So that time they will do over here.
oh yeah, correct, right. As once the consultant confirms, the invoice will be issued. Yeah, true, correct. Yeah, fine. Yeah, understood. Anyone else has any questions to shoot? I believe there's uh, we got a lot of clarifications. Anyone from corporate banking side? I think the benefits and all were very clear when it's an international with Europe and all. When the LCs are opened, it's very good for UAE companies to issue the invoice directly through e-invoicing to them. That's very beneficial. And any questions? I'll just give you all couple of seconds to be posted. Rafi has asked some valid questions, Kapila and Altaf as well.
It
Nitin, in
seems there
your
are no.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. In your view, Nitin, with this, with the time constraint of whatever the deadlines given, how do you feel the with the current with the current trends? How do you feel it's moving on? Is it very rapidly moving on with the large corporates first coming on board with ASPs?
Uh, Usually earlier the due date was it's to appointing the ASPs July only, sir. But because of the war and other situations, they extended to October. So here, first on a government level or a FTA level, they are already ready. So they build the infrastructure, whatever to store the data, to issue the licenses, everything. So, and even in our FTA portals, the options, so and so forth, everything was enabled now. Everything is enabled. So from the government point of view, they are 100% ready. So there is no question whether they are ready or not. So that's the one. Coming to the big businesses, so especially the top 5,000 companies, they are already have started the process long 6 months back. So they are now almost they are already appointing the ASPs and they are already updated their systems. So the final integration and setting is pending. Yes, the remaining companies they are not up to the mark, to be honest. But the thing is, they're always presently the ASPs are very minimal, around 35 ASPs, so the price is little high. So once in the future, if the list is increasing, the price might come down. So majority are ready, but they are waiting for the price. That is the one. Even if you are not capable or even if you are not updated this system up to that level, like updation, integration is not possible, we have other alternatives like file transfer, file uploading, manual interface. So if any urgent, that is like more of plan B. So plan B we have, we can implement that. But so for as for my study, 80% of the organizations are maybe they will capable to achieve the targets within the due date, but 20% there are still channel we can doubt them. And because of
That's
war and other, that price percentage might increase.
positive news. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Thanks.
Dushi, anything to be shared by you?
Oh, no, it's fine. It was very clear.
Um, well, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you, Nithin and Rehana from PBSS as well, who have joined here. It's as the Sri Lankan bankers, I mean, it's really very insightful. We waited for a long time to get this insight, and now it's the right. I believe it's the right time as well to to get this understanding. Many banks have started already training their staff as well. I heard that today a larger bank has started training their staff about awareness, and it's good for our members, especially bankers. And now your video will be probably on our YouTube channel another couple of days time. So really grateful, Nitin and Rehana, for coming forward and getting this up, this awareness campaign. I'm sure we will have a catch-up campaign very soon once the first one goes live, and if there's any clarifications, if our bankers they need further, uh, and very insightful. Thank you very much, Nitin. Thanks for joining. I'm sure it's very late there in India, and you have dedicated
I'm
your
in
time.
UAE only, sir, presently.
Oh, okay, you have come back. Okay, fine, good. So thanks
Thank you,
for
Nithin.
time dedication. Yeah, and seriously, it was very insightful. And Rehana from PBSS and you, and I'm sure especially the banks and other companies, we could also guide them with the knowledge what we have received on selecting the ASPs and what's the best thing what they could do. And really, thank you very much, and God bless you for everything what you have shared your knowledge with us. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Ishtiaq, thank you
Yeah.
very much. I want to express my sincere gratitude to the Sri Lanka Bankers Association UAE and to you and the executive committee for providing this valuable platform for and the continued efforts in bringing relevant industry knowledge to the banking professionals. And thank you very much once again.
Thanks, Rehana. Thanks a lot. Thanks for connecting with us. Thank you, Nitin.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you,
Good night,
Nitin.
everybody.
I'm